jumping in. Let's do it. Today we are doing more Zelda shading. Making a lot of progress. Hi, good morning. Guess what we're doing today? More shading. But I like this. This is a fun and pretty chill way to start a work day. Oh, good. Yeah. Do some drawing. That makes me feel so inspirational. I'm inspired. You've inspired me to be inspired. Okay. So all of our layers here look good. This is a simple drawing with only a few things going on, at least so far at this point. I have inspired you, and now you, with that inspiration, have inspired me to continue my excellence. I was this close to quitting. I was this close. I just needed something, and then there you go. So now, let's see here. Yes, I was ready to throw it all away and walk away from art. No, I'm silly, but the in research for this project, I do watch other YouTube art streams and art videos, and the language on these things can be pretty dramatic. In some ways, I love that stuff, but I also want to sort of cut and temper things with a lot of important things is just showing up, getting started, you know, applying soft skills. Not everything is talent. Perseverance is probably more important than anything. Okay, here we go. So, but I'm glad you're drawing. You know, you don't have to draw almost anything in particular, but if you want to share what you're drawing, or after you've drawn it, please do. There was a long period of my life, probably about 5 years, where if I didn't feel like drawing, I would just draw whatever. Okay, yeah, go with the flow. That is like, really, it was, I knew that I needed to just get a lot of mileage with my hand, making things that were drawings. They didn't have to be anything specific. As long as it looked like I was drawing something, and that it didn't take forever. It was actually important. So, like, for instance, I used to be One of my first jobs, well, I think it was my very first job, was I was a editor for wedding video montages. And for that job, people would submit the photos of their, like, the husband and wife, and they would be submitting photos of themselves apart and together. So baby pictures of themselves growing up separately, and then pictures of themselves younger when they're meet each other and getting together, and then pictures of like the proposal, and then pictures of all sorts of things, pictures of loved ones, pictures of family members that didn't live long enough to make it to be at the wedding, but here they can be. So it was like, so the most important pictures of these entire people's lives, and for put into a montage for the most important day of their entire lives. For some people, like a wedding is their most important day, or it's supposed to be, right? And so I would be entrusted with all these really important photographs, and part of my artistic abilities were used because they would give me very old scratchy photos, and I would be asked to use Photoshop or whatever, or sometimes using my sort of artistic skill to go in there and like touch up the photos. They'd be like, can you do anything about the giant scratch on this photo of her dad? It's her favorite photo of her dad, but now there's a big scratch on it. What can you do? And I would be able to heal it, or fix, or do what was needed to make the scratch less noticeable, less offensive. I did that with lots of different things. I enjoyed the artistic. Yeah. It was such. The job itself gave me a lot of. I had a lot of interest in. It's like, I am an artist. I like doing what I do, but one of the reasons I really like doing what I do is because as a storyboard artist, I work in teams or small teams, but I can see the value of what I bring to the equation, and people are grateful. I feed off of that, and I love it. It's very fulfilling for me to help people, and so that was a great thing. Well, to sort of circle back to what I was trying to say, I would have all these great photos of people's entire lives, and so I would use them as references to just draw. And if I didn't really feel like drawing that day, or I'd feel like, okay, well, drawing like a portrait of this person is too much, it'll take too long, I'll be too judgmental about whether or not I got a good likeness, then I would just draw their hands. And there was no this was in like 2002, so there wasn't a lot of, there were, maybe Google image search was working well, or maybe it wasn't, I don't quite remember. But this was a great reference for me to just have all sorts of real human beings doing unposed. Often can't, it's like, okay, here's a child playing with a toy. I'll draw their hands as they're playing with the toy. It was as simple as that, and it was very zen. It was very. It worked out great. So, you don't have to have all the, like, today I'm gonna paint the Mona Lisa or something like that. That stuff is like bad for you. So, especially if you haven't drawn in a while, just like do what you think might just be simple and fun, would be my recommendation. Unless you're super inspired, then go whatever you want to, but it's okay to What I did was I lowballed myself every day until I got so bored that I purposefully sought out the challenges. It's like if someone is, this applies to me too, but if someone is like bad at skiing, and you say, well, you can go on the bunny slopes and have fun there all you want. And then they go and they'll have a little bit of fun there, but they'll also see that, like, yeah, this gets boring after like the 5th time. Like, I'm ready for a new challenge. You sort of do it to yourself. When you're ready, like your bored mind will not tolerate the boredom any longer. Yeah, practice with reference. I think there's a lot of when I on this stream I do a lot of drawing without reference, and that's just like in a braggadocious way. That's not something I would recommend for people who are learning how to draw. The only reason I can draw anything without a reference is because I've drawn it many, many, many times before from a reference, in most cases. I'm sort of doing a sloppy, not a sloppy job, I guess, you know, it's just not a very pure job of this occlusion shading because I'm just sort of warming up to it in my brain. Now I'm starting to think about it. It's like, okay, is light really being blocked there? How? Yeah, but well, because I'm sort of good at it, and I'm just like waking up, like my coffee hasn't even hit me yet. I'm apt to draw on autopilot, like without thinking about it much, and that's good because I'm trusting my materials, my hand and my unconscious, my subconscious. Trusting my gut. Okay. Light definitely is getting blocked. There and here. And here, where his arm is tucking in under his body. I'm sort of justifying a little bit of overshading on this because his body is lying so close to the ground. feels like a little bit of that might come into play. Like the light is being blocked by the taller objects around him. Light is being blocked where his upper eyelids meet his eye. And the crevices of his eye corners. And the lower eye underneath the hair. Oh, I meant to turn up my volume today. Oh well, I'll do it next time. Light is definitely blocked where his fingers are touching this bottle cap. In between the fingers. This is such a tricky composition to get layered right because his arm is over the dead claw of the monster, but it's also under another dead claw of the same monster. And these fingers are over the Faerie bottle, but the thumb is under that bottle. So the way all the layers are stacked had to be laid out with a good amount of logic and compromise. Because there's some things you just can't quite get right. With layer stacking, it only goes so far in a scene of 3D where things can go closer and farther in space and overlap each other in different ways. She's very much a Tinkerbell kind of character here. There was an old Zelda cartoon in the 1980s, and they made a character out of the Faerie, and she was sort of a funny character. Like she was like lovesick for Link. I don't know if the joke is coming, like if it's not clear, because I don't think I think you mentioned you were familiar with Zelda, but you're not like a crazy Zelda fan. But the fairies are like these healing entities in the Zelda universe. So if you are close to defeated in battle, or if you die in battle and you have a fairy in a bottle, the fairy can revive you and you'll be back to life. You won't be 100%, but you have a chance to continue on in the same battle without starting your game over. And so they're super useful. Let's get a little bit. Okay, good. I'm hoping to not have to, like, best case scenario, I don't have to explain every darn piece of art in these sequences. And then it's sufficiently self-explanatory. That's always the goal for me, is like provide enough visual context where people pretty much know instantly what's going on. They should instantly know what they're looking at, or at least instantly know why they should like what they're looking at, and then maybe that should be enough interest for them to try to decipher why or what exactly is going on in the photo or you know, the picture. Okay, this is looking decent-ish. I think was getting a little baby-faced there for a second. And he's not meant to be like a ruggedly handsome guy, but I don't want to lose some of his rated R qualities. I think that looks good. Because there's less going on in this picture, the things that are going on in this picture will matter a lot. They pull a lot of weight. Let's see here. In this image, Link is basically wearing his underwear, and that was to help show like a lot of vulnerability. It didn't have to be that he was going off in a battle and had a rough time. Like, he could have been ambushed while he was sleeping, for instance. But I wanted to underscore his vulnerability, and I figured having him basically not in his usual warrior's outfit or his adventuring outfit sort of explains why he was having a rough time of it, you know, totally unprepared. At least he had his little fairy with him. Looking decent. But I do think this is overshaded. Let's see here. Where's my brush? Okay, here we go. Probably closer to what it should actually look like. And yeah, right now the shoulder is totally popping and looks overemphasized, but that's just right now. That won't stick around forever. All right, let's do the front part of the bottle. This is kind of crazy because it's supposed to be made of glass, so how do I shade that? Don't do enough of this type of stuff. But we don't need to overthink it. Just same things apply. Where is the light blocked? It's probably just like this. And we're really only shading the front part of the bottle. The other side of the bottle is beneath the fairy, and we're not there yet. Oh, but light would be blocked where the fingers are touching it. And the reason we have to do this kind of shading is it allows us to think like, okay, well, yes, it's made of glass, but is it like super fancy fairy crystal, or is it like shitty village glass with a bunch of impurities in it and it's not perfectly transparent? You know, it could be, there could be all sorts of imperfections with it, and that might make it reflect less purely than normal glass, and you would have things like shadows on the glass instead of light passing through and preventing the shadows from being on the glass. Okay. So the fairy character from the Zelda cartoon did sort of look like this, but I've adjusted the proportions. This is like supermodel fairy, like really long legs and just has some of that feminine charm. And I'm giving her brown hair. Or maybe reddish hair. But probably just brown hair. It's looking good. Well, I was on my job yesterday. And it went really well, so that's good. It's really good because I'm going to be on it for the next 2 weeks, so I need to be... It will help me immensely if I don't make it painful on day one. It'll probably be painful on the last day, but if I can keep it painless on the first day. Your first sketch looks funky? Well, don't worry about it. Oh yeah, save. Thank you. I haven't saved yet. Are you right or left-handed? All right, right-handed, yeah. I don't know why I asked. I don't actually put too much stock in handedness as a concept. I think people can learn to use either hand in most capacities, so I don't make much of a big deal about it. But I'm left-handed with drawing. Depending on your locate, I mean, theoretically, you are in Poland, right? Yeah, I think that's what you said, right? Yeah, in a lot of places they discourage it culturally, but in America we don't do too much of that. Why we don't is a little bit interesting. I'm not sure why we stopped, because I know that like pretty much everywhere people wanted everybody using their right hands for a long time. I bet it was all the wars where people were just like, yeah, I shoot better left-handed. And they're like, fine. Then do it, you know, as long as you're hitting those targets or something. Okay, if you don't care, you don't care. It may be a thing where, and this could just be one of those weird American traits where, like, way many of us are, like, criminals and, you know, bad guys. We're like a country of whatever, exiles, you know? It's sort of weird. The my mom is left-handed and my grandpa was left-handed, and it was through them I believe I inherited my artistic talent. But now neither of my children are left-handed, and that had me worried. I was like, they just don't have the creative spirit. But actually, both of them have recently started drawing a lot, so I'm pleased about that. But many of my wife's friends, and of course I'm her husband, are left-handed. And so in a weird way, it feels like I know a lot of left-handed people because all of her friends became my friends, and now I know a lot of left-handed people. And then, of course, I work in creative industries, and a lot of people, for whatever reason, self-select and become creative people when they're left-handed. And it's just sort of interesting. Hage, what's up, man? You better be drawing too. Hage, are you left-handed or right-handed? It's the topic of the moment. Right-handed. You are pooping. That's wonderful. Get your practice in. You know, you get a pass because you're a parent, so you get to you get to really soak it up. Too funny. When pooping time was reading time and the John was filled in. Yeah, newspapers and magazines. Yeah. Now I just take my phone in and I scroll my feed, liking things. Liking stuff that I have no idea why it's even showing up on my phone. Anyway, this is looking cool. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, I do. Let's see, do I read? This is I'm going to preface by saying I love reading. I really do. I just don't have a schedule that permits sitting down and turning more than one page at a time. Yeah. And like, my life right now is just constant interruption. Like I can't do anything, like especially even like you know, that literally I have to get up at 4 a.m. to do this project because I will not be afforded any privacy at all for any length of time at any part of the day otherwise. It's always some sort of an emergency. So I sacrifice my sleep and answer the call of Zelda. I was not a big reader on the toilet, but I would do a lot of journaling back when I had more time. Kind of wish I could get back more into that. Yeah. Well, I think like if I understand your phrasing, like the Twitch stuff is good for me, even though it's like a new thing. Therefore, I had to. It's a new thing and it takes time. Therefore, I had to find time, which is super impossible. So, like using it as a, as a as a reason to get up early or sleep less is maybe questionable, but it has definitely helped me with having a better sense of like having a return of my social instincts, social graces, like it's like I know it's weird, but you guys are kind of my friends, and I like that. I don't have a studio that I go to anymore where I meet other artists or other people who appreciate art. When clients hire me, it's like they send me emails. I don't get a lot of casual chit chat. It's not, and when we do, it's it's very truncated. People are not there to relish in Max the person. They just want the output of Max the artist so they can move on with their day. And that's great. I don't mind that. If they're not interested, but where I used to feel like I would go to a studio and there might be younger artists there or people who were appreciative of what I might be able to teach them. That doesn't happen anymore. I have to seek that out now. So this really fills that gap. Where I feel like I have an urge to make a connection with other people. This is a good way for me to get that done without disrupting too much everything else that needs to happen. Yeah. But then, I am then conscientious. I'm like, okay, well, I have to do. If that's what I'm doing, try to be earnest and sincere about it, and do it even if you're tired or whatever. Here's what I've noticed is now that it's a habit, if I don't do this, I just feel like I have like this sense of FOMO, like fear of missing out for the rest of the day. Like I become a little bit more agitated than I should be. So it's like if I get this done, then the rest of the day I'm a lot more chill. So I feel like I'm advancing the ball on something that is good for me and is good for possibly good for other people. I don't know if it's quite the same rewarding experience. So I appreciate anybody tuning in, but it is I'm not sure everything I have to say is amazingly educational or interesting. Doesn't look too bad. It's not too, shading's not too complicated. I mean, it can be, I guess, but... It's a little better. Yeah, that's looking decent. Like, I'm not even sure, like, what this stuff is over here. It could be, like... I don't... It looks like he's trapped under the arm and... Like the hand of a giant spider or something like that. And then maybe over here, like, this is a remnant of, like, some sort of tail. Funny structure on the bad guy. It can be abstract. And then later on, it's actually going to take place in a burning field. So there's going to be like fire and smoke and embers and a lot of different... And then there's like magical pixie dust energy coming out of the bottle. And dust from the battle. And maybe low-lying fog. Tons of stuff to sort of clutter it up. So... And none of that has been drawn yet, so... Long way to go on this one, even though it's, like, fairly simple. Okay, last layer. Do the grass. It looks like he is stuck between fingers. Yes, like as if like he is essentially. And of course he's like just done battle, so he's too weak to sort of pry himself out. I'm glad that context is coming through, because that is accurate. That is what is intended. Ooh, that's bright. If I turn this on, you can see the original thumbnail. So this is actually a pretty complex scene with like different kinds of lighting. The Faerie herself kind of generates light. There's going to be... I didn't even draw it, but there's going to be like all these like weird spiky hairs on the... Yeah, this is the original sketch. Isn't that fun? Now I can zoom in on some of this stuff. Whee! Yeah, and you can see that, like, it's like, wow, I really gotta, like, remember. Because it's been so long since I drew this, that, like, it'd be easy to forget what, like, if I left this behind and just never looked at it again, I would forget so much stuff. So it is important to, like, refresh and remember the original motivations that were sort of, like, driving the story in this image. The story here is really just sort of like the ironic juxtaposition of this really fucked up injured guy and like this Faerie that is like, I'm just waking up, you know, what's going on? You've been busy, you know. Anything I can help you with today? Yeah. That's funny, huh? All right, let's turn that off. Adios to that. Okay. You know, and it's hard because it's like, in some ways, I just prefer the original, right? But that's the challenge. Do it some justice. That's always the case. It's always extremely hard to improve on the original rough sketch. That's why I hide it. No one can see it. I just have to see the finished one. Okay, definitely where the monsters, where the defeated monster's legs are touching the ground, the light is blocked. Probably in a big way. Might even need a bigger brush for that stuff. Light will be blocked significantly under there, under all of this. And he's lying on the ground, but his head isn't on the ground. His head is like he's sort of trying to sit up a little bit. Let's see here. Don't like that brush for this. Let's see here. Tapered detail air. This is the one. That's basically it. Could work on something. Yeah. I'm very happy you've found some inspiration. I'm going to take all the credit. It's just, it's obviously my amazing influence. Yes. There we go. Yep, it's my fault. You're under the art spell now. I've contaminated you. Okay, so this is looking cool. Here, let's save. Let's save our work. And then here, we'll do our fun thing where we set our layers to multiply and see what happens. Not looking bad yet. You love reviews on Google. What prompted that? What are you reviewing? What are you looking at? Oh, like, are you looking for pencils? Thing. Place. Yeah. Very unhelpful. I forgot to add some cursory shading to these bits of grass or whatever. There really won't be too much variation needed here, but I don't want them to look too cartoony. Yeah. This store exists. The ground plane here will have some kind of texture that basically makes it look like a giant monster, or like it's a post battle battlefield, right? So like if it's a nice hill and then like an army goes marching across it, it's gonna look like it's destroyed afterward, right? Or if a monster and a hero fight a crazy battle across a piece of land, the land itself is gonna take damage. All the force from the thrusting and the parrying and the attacking and the stabbing and crushing. It all sort of originates with the force of gravity, forcing energy down, disrupting and hurting. The whole place is limping and bleeding, crushed and squished. So, get something that feels like that in there. Not overly so. That's more of like a finishing kind of detail, but I don't want to forget it. Okay. Right now, to multiply. And yeah, that looks good. Good. Gets us in keeping with these other things so far, so pleased about that. We have a little time to get started with this next one. Go just a little longer. So this was one of the earlier sketches I did, which was, you know, has this really cool there's no Link or Zelda in this one. It's just bad guys. But I don't know, I thought the composition was cool. So we'll try to get there with this. Let's see here. Okay. Save my work. Oh, did I mess up my thing? Yeah, it looks like I did. Darn it. Here. There we go. And I'm getting drop frames. Here, Google. You pause. My goodness. Yeah, no, I was a little boisterous with it. And sometimes I'll look up here. I have my OBS, whatever, up here. And the, like if I'll look at it and like think it's the canvas. So I'll like interact with it. Try to be like, oh, I want to scroll. And then, whoops. Okay, let's see here. That's the flat master. Okay. Okay. On this one, I did a no-no, and I did a lot of shading on the lines of this horse. Where this is a horse statue. It's kind of like a knight's piece in chess. And that's okay. It's okay if I do shading, you know, preemptively or whatever. But the danger there is it might read as like dirty tones later on. And that's fine because it's a statue. It's just going to look like an old statue. But on an object that would otherwise appear clean, that would be not a good idea. It would just be better to like erase those lines. Okay. Where is the light blocked? This is like a super dynamic lighting situation for the finished piece because there's going to be crazy magical lightning bolt effects. Magic. Wizards doing their thing. But I still want to know where light is going to be blocked. Corners of the mouth, light will be blocked. Am I on your phone right now? Are we going to the store? How fun. I can do this for about 20 more minutes. 20 more minutes. That's fun. Oh, yeah, get your glasses fixed. Yeah, you can't draw if you can't see. That is the that is a serious truth. Light will be blocked at the base of the statue. Something like that. Yeah, I went to get my eyes checked and it came up these glasses actually broke my sight even more. That is not good. My prescription, I wear contact lenses. Let's see. I'm not that smart about the numbers, but my number is negative 3.5. No, negative 3.25, I think. So without my contacts, I can see about this far. I can see, like, if I take out my phone and hold it like this, I can read what's on my phone. But like over here, like I couldn't make it out. Oh, astigmatism. I don't know much about astigmatism. I apparently don't have it. So. But I've heard about it. And my dad apparently has some astigmatism. Like depth perception. Here we go. No, it just blurs everything, makes lights into streaks. I'm going to look up astigmatism. I'm going to learn something right now. Astigmatism is a common eye condition that occurs when the cornea or lens of the eye is an abnormal shape, causing light to bend differently as it enters the eye. This refractive error can cause blurry or distorted vision and can affect your vision at any distance. Oh. Common and generally treatable imperfection of the curvature of the eye that causes a blurred distance and near vision. Look up a healthy eye. So it's okay, I can see. Okay. So I'm gonna pull this over. We'll have a we'll have a teaching moment. Here we go. Oops. Okay, here we go. So for the benefit of anybody else who might be interested, what's happening here is that this lens is this is an astigmatic lens or cornea, and clearly what I can tell that it's doing here. So I have a normal lens, but my eyeball itself is the wrong shape. It is too long. So because my eyeball is long, even though the light is going in and reflecting the way it's supposed to, but by way of the cornea and the lens, it's not in my case, it doesn't meet where it's supposed to at the one focal point. The back of where my retina is like way back here, so it actually gets messed up because of that. And in this case, we've got an astigmatic cornea that is causing... It's subtle in these drawings, but this is a different shape than that. And so it's stopping short of reaching the back of the eye, at least a little bit right here. And that explains it. Astigmatic. Etymology. So I like this stuff. Astigmatic. It essentially means without a point. It's pointless. You did a good job explaining, and with the visual aid and a little bit of etymology. I like looking up those root words. It helps me remember what things mean sometimes. Just adds a little bit more context to, like, you know, I don't know. I don't know Greek, but if you translate the Greek, what it ends up being is like, oh, the Greeks' word for everything is like a funny nickname or a joke, you know, or the same thing with the Romans, really. And it sort of provides a little context. So stigma means point in Greek, according to this. So mid-19th century, a, sort of meaning without, like abnormal or whatever. And then, and then stigma meaning point, and plus ism. And I don't know what ism is. Maybe that's Latin, but it says it's Greek. But in both Greek and Latin, when they make names for stuff, it's always like a sort of joking nickname. Okay. Well, it's because you're in an academic setting. That makes sense. There's a wonderful, and I'm pretty sure it's Latin derived, but there's a wonderful anatomical landmark on the human body. Basically, it's the name of the joint, the ball and socket joint that the femur connects to the pelvis. It sort of sits in this little bowl of bone on the pelvis, and the name for that is the acetabulum, and that is a Latin word that means vinegar dish. So it's with like all these really cute kind of nicknames that I find that stuff is like super fun to learn about, and to me it's easier to remember. It's like acetabulum, what does that mean? But when you think about it, like, oh, it means a little vinegar dish. Of course the Romans would have like little dishes of vinegar around. Fun fact, humans have over 600 muscles. Tell me about it. You're like, don't ever do that again. I didn't know the amount of human muscles. I did not know. Do you know what the longest muscle in the human body is? Miss Fun Fact. I'll give you 10 seconds to not Google it and just answer. All right, the sartorius is the longest muscle. It is, it's the one on the leg. I believe it goes from like the top of the iliac crest all the way to like the head of the tibia. It's crazy. If I'm not wrong. I'll look it up later. I love spreading disinformation. What is the largest muscle? Not the longest, but the largest muscle in the human body. What's the largest muscle? Like the most massive muscle? No Googling. It's the gluteus maximus. Gluteus maximus, the butt muscle. It's the biggest. Nah, it's the gluteus maximus. Nope. Gluteus maximus. That's what it says. Yeah. And last one is, what is the strongest muscle? Strongest muscle. This one might surprise you too. Or you might know it. No. These are not correct. But I'm glad you're guessing. It's the masseter, the jaw muscle. Can lift something like, on a normal person, it can lift something like 600 pounds. I maybe not on a normal person, but like as far as like its own isolated, the way, whatever, it's you're not dumb. Absolutely not. But here, let's think about it this way. Those are the only things in the world that I know. Those three things. Oh, I have some good news. The air conditioner repairman came yesterday, fixed my AC. So, life is good again. Yeah, I'm gonna... although, ironically, I'm still hot because the AC doesn't reach my office very well. But I will at least be able to... Like, I was able to sleep just fine last night and everything. What time is it? In Poland? Like, you must be at least 8 hours ahead. It's got to be late afternoon. 23 degrees Celsius is pretty hot. $3 p.m. Okay. Do a quick save. We'll finish off this guy and call it a stream. Boy, I don't know what it is, but I have... It's amazing, but I still haven't gotten sick of this Zelda music yet. I think I like it even more than when I started. That's funny. Eternally grateful to whoever... Whoever took the time to make it and then just say, anybody can have this. Kind of one of those things. It's like, it's the same sort of deal as like fan art, really. If you're making unauthorized tributes to someone else's intellectual property, you can't really own it the way you would normally own something. So that applies even in my case with these drawings. This is not something... These are characters Nintendo technically owns. I have no legal recourse to say, yo man, don't steal. Okay, looks like my son is awake and I gotta go be dad, so... We're going to finish now. So thanks to anybody who's listening. And I really appreciate the company. And I'll see you next time.